self-defense sticks. It's just a stick. This is a dowel rod you can get at any do-it-yourself store or hardware store. This one's cut to about 14 inches. I like 18 inches the best. It's just that I've made a whole batch and they're all in the oil right now. So I'm going to show you with this 14-inch stick. And the simple techniques are always going to keep you safe when you use your Thug Stopper self-defense stick. I've been seeing a lot of these videos lately of people, totally innocent people going about their day, grandmas, grandpas, all ages, and just being assaulted by these thugs of all different shapes and sizes, all ages. 13-year-old thugs punching grandmothers in the face, stealing their purse. Another teenage thug shoving a grandmother off the steps of the church, almost breaking her neck just to steal her stuff. I mean, just the most disgusting thugs that I've seen, and you've seen it too. So we're talking about how do you give yourself a little bit more of an edge. You don't want to have to defend yourself, but it seems like you're on your own until law enforcement gets there. And law enforcement has been picked on and pushed around too, and they're not always able to get there to help us when we need them. So we're going to talk about this simple stick. This is the Tonbo. And the basic technique that I'm going to show you first is holding it so a little bit comes out the end. Now, this is an advantage to you because it's harder for somebody to try to grab this and take it out of your hand. It also gives you some protection on your forearm if you had to defend against somebody who might have a blade. So it hits this, it cuts this up instead of cutting up the soft tissue in your arm. So that's just one way to use it in a defensive way. But we're going to be offensive when we use our Thug Stopper self-defense stick. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get your other hand up. Your hands are up in this position. This is called the flinch block. This is so that you can guard behind your arms, and in this case, the one carrying the stick. If someone's swinging a punch at you or throwing something at you or trying to hit you, you get your hands up all of a sudden or immediately, and then you can just thrust and stick this hard piece of oak into his nose. You're going to break his nose, shove the teeth down his throat, maybe crush his windpipe for self-defense. The question that you're going to ask yourself is, what can you remove or destroy? So the first technique from here is a simple thrust, just like you're doing a punch to the face. Now, this is an advantage to you because instead of just using your fist, you now have this hard piece of wood in your hand, and this is it's not going to collapse, it's not going to dent, it's not going to break, but you're going to smash his nose or smash his face. If you're wearing glasses, it's even better. Thugs with glasses, stick it in his face, back him up. From this position here, you can also swing it here using your whole upper body, twisting. You're engaging your core muscles, getting a lot more power, and using this long lever from your shoulder down to your hand to swing that into his temple or maybe into his ear, into his jaw, into his neck, into his ribs. Maybe you're sitting in a chair, maybe you're in a wheelchair, you're on a bench, you're on a park bench, you're waiting for the bus, and you have this here in your hand, your Thug Stopper self-defense stick, and you swing that in, breaking some ribs or coming into his hip, into his thigh, hitting that sciatic nerve in the leg, which makes his legs go weak. So you have a simple thrust, you have the swinging motion here, you use the back end of the stick, that longer side, to jam it, kind of a reverse thrust, into his eyes, into his nose, his throat. Again, the question you ask yourself is, what can you remove or destroy for self-defense? His ability to breathe temporarily or permanently, his ability to see you, because you smash it into his eyes, you bust his nose and the blood comes out and his eyes water, or maybe you stick it into his ear, you pop that eardrum, or you just crush the whole side of his face with that hard piece of wood as you're swinging here. From here, you can also thrust straight up into his solar plexus or into between the belly button and the private parts, that thin fascia, that thin sheath of muscle that holds his guts in. You give him a hernia, or even into his private parts themselves, and you just thrust it straight up. Now, you might miss as you're coming in, but as long as you're aiming for the center line of his body, you can bring it up, maybe smash up under his throat, smash his teeth together, bites the tip of his tongue off, flops onto the floor, his blood, his DNA is everywhere, so the cops can come by later and pick him up. He's a thug. He picked on the wrong person. You have every right, God-given right, to defend yourself, so you carry your Thug Stopper self-defense stick. It's self-defense stick. It's a tongue twister. I didn't even know I created a tongue twister. That's all carrying it in this position. Now, that means the long side's coming out of your pinky, the short side comes out of your thumb. You can also use this side by swinging and using that hard piece of oak to smack him across the side of his face, or come down across his head, or bring it up so that this hard part is hitting up into his chin or closer up into his groin, or maybe he's reaching at you with a knife, or he's got his fist balled up, he's going to smash you in the face, and you smash that hand, breaking the wrist, using that hard motion. You're going to generate the most power when you twist through your shoulders and hips. You also step in and bring that up from this position, shoving it back down. Now that's all with the long side coming out of the pinky. You can also change your grip. We also call this the tanbo. Okinawan or Japanese style martial art carries a short stick for self-defense. Koreans carry a short stick, and the Hapkido and other styles of Korean self-defense. Theirs is called the, it's funny, I use one for years and years. There's usually a string that comes out of them. You guys can tell me in the comments what it is, because you know the name of the Korean short stick. Anyway, it wraps around, the string goes through here. Donbong, that's it, short stick, donbong, or the Japanese tanbo. You can just call it your massage stick. If anybody asks you why you're carrying, you say, I carry this, I get knots in the fascia, in the muscle. This is how you would use a short stick. Sometimes when I do a lot of push-ups, I get these muscles here get really tight. There are nerves in there, they get squeezed, it causes a lot of pain, I get headaches. And then I use this stick, you just put a little pressure and you rub it up and down, and there's one there right now, and the knot starts to go away and it relieves that pressure. You can breathe. So if someone were to stop you and say, hey, why are you carrying that stick? You're going to hit somebody with it. And you say, no, this is not the Thug Stopper self-defense stick. Self-defense stick, this is my massage tool. This is my myofascial release massage tool. I use the tip there to get into the nerves and get into the belly of the muscle and get those muscle adhesions broken up. And then I roll it. And if anybody asks, it's none of their business why you carry it. Because of course, this is not a self-defense tool. This is for my health. This is, it's my right to carry a health stick. Now, you can change it to this grip so that now you can bring in more force. You have a longer lever coming out of your thumb. And as you twist, you use this basic striking motion to generate more power. You open your hand, not all the way. This also comes from the Korean danbong, the Korean short stick. And with your hand open, you can then close it. So you start to roll it with your wrist. You can practice this motion. Thank you, Studer, for that generous gift. Studer just gave a super sticker. This really helped this channel, bringing it here, and then, of course, bringing it back the other way. You can practice. When I learned how to use the Korean donbong, the short stick, just all day long, I'd walk around both hands, trying to generate more speed, more power, more accuracy, so that if I did have to use it for self-defense, I had a lot more power. And you can do the same thing. So you're just twisting, turning, shoulders and hips, add more power by opening the hand. You don't take your fingers off of it. Taking your fingers off of it, you could lose it. You can take it out of your hand easier. You just open your hand so you can twist it. So you use that to generate more power, bring it in from either side. You can bring it down on top of his head in a vertical strike. You can bring it through in these horizontal strikes. Again, think about what you can remove or destroy. That comes from Tim Larkin's book, When Violence is the Answer. I put links to that book in the comment section below, or in the description below. Links to that book, links to the dongbong. I can send you one if you want. I'll charge you to make it, cut it, sand it, oil it up, and mail it to you. Or you can go to the hardware store or the do-it-yourself shop, buy yourself an oak or harder wood. You don't want poplar, you don't want like a soft wood, you can get white ash, but a harder wood, cut it down to the size you want. Again, this one's about 14 inches. My favorite length is when it comes to about here, which would be about from the tip of your finger to about here. That's the traditional tanbo, and that would be 18 inches. For me, it's 18 inches. Oh, hello, Fafo, Javier, Garen, great to see you. Studer, always great to see you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for training with me on a Sunday. I've been really monitoring the news lately, looking for what's happening in the world of self-defense and how people are being viciously assaulted. And I know that some news media outlets will say that violent crime is not rising, but it's exploding everywhere. I mean, there's cities like Memphis, Tennessee. If you look at what's happening in Memphis, it is just mind-blowing, just the number of violent assaults that are happening all day long. And it's happening in a lot of cities across the country and around the world. And so I want you to be safe. I want you to have some options Of course, you'll say, well, I carry one of these and so do I, but you can't always use this. It's not always appropriate. You can't take it everywhere you go. You can take this just about everywhere you go, or you can carry one of these. This is my other favorite self-defense stick. It's short, it's ugly, it's simple. It also is a massage tool. It's really good for getting in there and breaking up those muscle adhesions, and you can carry it in your pocket. This is the Yawara pocket stick, self-defense pocket stick. This, you just squeeze really hard. It's like adding a load to your fist. Rockwood says, can you use your rolling pin? Yeah, use a rolling pin. Some rolling pins are a lot thicker. You get the Asian style rolling pin. They're usually like this. You can go to like a Korean grocery store, an Asian grocery store, and you can see, and they're extremely hard wood, dense. So, and they're very inexpensive. And they use them to roll things out really flat, different than like a traditional rolling pin that we would have in the West. Or you may, like I said, make your own, or look at the links below if you want to see how I make them and what I sell them for. Anyway, so the Yawara, the pocket stick, super simple. You squeeze this really hard, and then when you strike with so much more force, and especially if you add a little step and you're turning through your shoulders and hips and you're extending all the way, you can create dynamic knockout power using these fists here. Now, the question is, Slicky Rick YD or Slicky Rick ED, how to defend against a strike. I want to show you that because that goes perfectly with either this stick, the Thug Stopper self-defense stick, or the Yawara pocket stick. And I like to say, put on your helmet. So if you are to step in at the same time, you close the distance. It's counterintuitive. So you have to train yourself to close the distance as you're stepping in. Let his fist, if he's throwing a punch, run into your elbow. If he's swinging either a haymaker or he's swinging, even if he has a weapon in his hand, by closing the distance, bring your hand in, he's going to hit the outside of your arm. And even if he does hit your head a little bit, your arm being in this position is going to act as a shock absorber. So you're not going to get knocked out the way you would if your hands are just down and your mouth is open, your chin is out, and he catches you with a punch kind of off out of nowhere. Right? If instead you see a threat, you don't feel comfortable, the first thing you do is you put your hands up, give him a verbal commands, back up, don't come anywhere near me. You take steps off the angle. So that means you kind of step off the center, break up his line of thought. It's called a pattern interrupt. You want to interrupt his pattern, especially if he's used to being a thug, picking on people. Your hands are up, step off. You can bring your hands up immediately. As soon as you see that punch coming in, you bring it up here and you step in, almost like you are a turtle, right? But so you're coming in here. Now from this position, you're close enough with your Thug Stopper short stick, the Yawara. From here, you can bring that punch straight in and strike. Or if you don't have anything in your hand, you can bring your elbow in and smash against the side of his head, breaking his jaw, hitting him in the temple, maybe knocking him unconscious, hitting him in the neck. Or if he's taller and you're down, you can bring that elbow in and break those ribs. Now notice that when you do that, your palm is facing the ground. You have your palm facing the ground, whether you have something in it or not. That is going to expose that long arm bone right there from your elbow all the way into your wrist. Now that's going to be, especially this part right here, you hit him with the tip of that. A lot of times you're going to cut him. But if you hit with this, you can easily break bone. You can dislodge his jaw. You can hit him with so much force that you knock him unconscious, knock him on the ground. So basic, simple Thug Stopper self-defense sticks. This one also has these tips. You can do similar to the last, the long tombo. You can swing this in, striking with this into the temple, into the jaw, into the neck, into the ribs. You can bring it down over the top. He might be behind you. You smash it in to his groin, turn this way, hit him into the ribs, bring it up a little bit higher, hit him in the neck, or hit him into the temple, and drop him on the ground. Yeah, Garen says you are about 2 inches longer than your palm. Usually if you hold it, it comes out. Sometimes they're flat. Sometimes I put a little point on mine. It's not sharp. It's just oak. It's just wood. And again, this doubles. So, you ask me all the time, how do you use it as a massage stick? This is it. It's real simple. You just put some force and some pressure. You find a knot in there, and you'll feel it. It's real tender. There's one right there. Kind of tender, makes my shoulder tight. I can use the tip to push. That's a great way to hit him too, by the way. You take this and you stick it right in his face, and he's like, maybe he's on top of you. You can reach in, you push it here. You stop his ability to breathe permanently. You can easily just push him off. He's not going to be able to resist that. I don't care how big and strong they are. Your throat isn't full of muscle. It's that thin cartilage in there. You crush that, he's in big trouble. So he might be bigger and stronger. Instead of fighting against him, reach your hand up between his arms, stick that in his throat, and push him back. Stick that up under his jaw, stick that at the base of his teeth, stick it at the base of his nose, stick it up his nose, stick it in his eye, and just press, or stick it into the flesh of his skin, press in and down. You can push in and down on somebody here. The top of the chest is very sensitive. That's also going to make him let go and back him up a little bit. But this is going to be a lot more effective for self-defense. But just be aware that you can easily kill somebody like that. But if he's using violence against you, he's trying to take your life. That's one way to defend yourself. Into the side of the neck, there's also a lot of nerves in there. That's a good way to make him let go. Pushing in to the ribs, between the ribs and the intercostals, that thin amount of muscle, there are a lot of nerves. And I'm sure some of you have been hit that way. You can stick that in there and push forward without even swinging and just make somebody back off. So you can use it for those pressure points too. But this self-defense stick, so many things that you can do with it. The Thug Stopper self-defense stick, and again, it's just the Japanese Tanbo. I just wanted to think about different names as I see all these thugs, punks, criminals, mentally ill people who should be kept away from society because they're dangerous to themselves and everybody else, and they're just out hurting people, punching people, shoving them down church steps, punching grandmas in the face, taking their purse, kids doing this kind of stuff. And I don't know where their parents are, and I pray for them, and we want them to get help. But at the same time, grandma needs to be defended too. Grandma needs to have a safe, sense of security. Grandpa, we all do. We all have the right to self-defense. So anyway, this is a way you can use your own self-defense tool or make your own. Again, just a dowel rod, cut it down.